sexual passion is the cause of wars and the end of philosophy. Arthur Schopenhauer. They say men are ruled by lust, but what if that's just the cover story for a much darker truth? That they think with their lower heads, that they're always ready, always hunting, always on edge. But Schopenhauer saw through this illusion centuries ago. He didn't see male desire as weakness. He saw it as a trap laid by nature itself, a manipulation of the will to life, using beauty and reproduction as bait to keep men enslaved to their instincts. And what if I told you, men aren't as horny as they've been told? What if they're simply overstimulated, cornered, provoked into a constant tension by women who've turned exposure into a performance? You say men are dogs, but no one asks who keeps throwing them the bone. Schopenhauer warned us, what is beautiful is not what is good, but what is useful to the will. The modern woman has understood this, perhaps not consciously, but tactically. She has learned that the male gaze is currency, and she has learned how to spend it. This isn't empowerment. This isn't freedom. It's strategic exhibitionism, dressed in the language of liberation. If my nipples want to be the center of attention, who am I to stop them? That's not confidence. That's desperation masquerading as pride. That's validation addiction wearing a feminist mask. Femininity used to be sacred. Now it's a product, packaged, marketed, sold on feeds, explored in angles, optimized for reach. The mystery? Gone. The allure? Replaced by algorithm. The body became the brand. And the soul? Forgotten. Schopenhauer would call it exactly what it is, a bait for the will to continue itself. Not love, not meaning, not truth. Every tight dress, every deliberate thirst trap, every stage pose is not random. It is not innocent. It is a calculated intrusion on male peace, not an attack on morality, but on intimacy. It erodes the last flicker of instinct in a man to feel something real. And here's what they won't tell you. Women know exactly what they're doing. They may not say it out loud, but they know the power of flesh. They know the rules of this game because they designed it. Men, meanwhile, are being told to be kind, vulnerable, compassionate, accountable, soft. But while they try to suppress the beast, they're being hunted by it. Schopenhauer said, "The sexual impulse is the strongest of human passions and the most cunning. So when a man walks through a world of swinging hips, flashing skin, and curated seduction, and he's expected to carry the restraint of a monk with the hunger of a wolf, it's not discipline they're asking of him, it's delusion. And when he stumbles, they call him the problem. But who set the rules? Who built the maze? Women today don't want to be understood. They want to be worshipped, not loved, but followed, adored, liked, shared. What do you bring to the table?" she asks, revealing her cleavage like it's currency. "I am the table," she says. "No, you're not the table. You're the show on the table. And there are a million more just like you, each screaming into the void. Pick me, validate me, break for me." And when no man invests, when no one stays, she says, "Men fear strong women." Number we don't. We fear emptiness. We fear being lured by a fantasy only to find there's nothing behind it. And that is what modern femininity has become. A parade of illusions, performed with the confidence of queens, but the insecurity of orphans. You have robbed men of their right to pause, to breathe, to even know if what they feel is real desire or engineered arousal. Is he drawn to you, or just ambushed by your anatomy? Does he want you, or is he just trying to survive the algorithm you've turned your body into? There's no room left for imagination, no space for restraint. And then you demand emotional intimacy from a man who's been in a war with his instincts since breakfast. Schopenhauer wrote that the will deceives us, pushing us into desire only to abandon us in suffering. You have turned that cycle into your weapon. You keep men hard and then ask why they're not soft. You bait the beast and then blame him for howling. You provoke and then shame. You lure and then punish. You treat his biology like a chess piece, and when he loses, you call it proof of his inferiority. But it was you who rigged the game. And now you offer the same pose, the same lips, the same filter, and expect to be treated like something sacred. You want loyalty, but you mock it. You want connection, but sell your visibility to the highest bidder. You want depth, but flash your skin like a signpost and wonder why men stop at the surface. Men aren't running from you. They're starving, starving for the version of you that can't be posted, that can't be filtered, that doesn't know how to be anything except real. And still, when a man looks, you call it weakness. When he touches, you call it assault. When he walks away, you call it immaturity. But what was he supposed to do with your performance? He saw the game, he saw the pattern, and he chose silence over shame. Schopenhauer warned us that human connection was always tainted by sexual illusion, that beauty was not divine but diabolical, a mask worn by the will to life to trick us into bondage. And you, modern woman, have turned that illusion into a lifestyle. You've industrialized it, monetized it, ritualized it. And in doing so, you've created a man who no longer knows if what he feels is instinct or manipulation. You say you want intimacy, but intimacy isn't a photo. It isn't a pose. It isn't a viral moment. It's the space between exposure and essence, the part of you that doesn't want to be seen but dares to be known. But that space no longer exists, because before a man reaches your mind, your body has already screamed at him. You've made yourself a megaphone of arousal and then punish him for hearing. You've turned men into voyeurs and then ask why they don't want to stay. You've turned your skin into currency and wonder why no one invests in your soul. You've made vulnerability a trap and then cry betrayal when no one takes the bait. But it's not just your loss, it's ours. Because every time you put your body on the front line, you rob a man of the chance to rediscover his masculinity. You rob him of the silence needed to hear his own heart. You rob him of the sacred space in which love, not lust, could grow. Not love of curves, but love of character. Not attraction to skin, but connection to soul. But you never gave him the chance to see it, because your performance was louder than your presence. Your seduction louder than your sincerity. And now you ask why men no longer stay, why they ghost, why they disconnect. You've made yourself the answer to a question men never got the peace to ask, and then blamed them for not knowing what they want. But how could they, when every signal is scrambled, when every instinct is hijacked, when every feeling is assaulted by performance? Schopenhauer said that the will uses illusion to propagate suffering, and now we live in a culture where every swipe, every scroll, every woman posing in a mirror is another flash of that same illusion. Men don't hate women. Men are disoriented by women, because women have stopped revealing who they are and started projecting who they want to be seen as. You offer a fantasy and then demand to be treated like a future. You show a costume and expect to be treated like a queen. But you cannot play both victim and vixen. You cannot bait a man's biology and then shame his response. You cannot cry for commitment while dancing in chaos. And yet you ask again, why are men broken? Why don't they open up? Why don't they trust? It's because every time they do, you turn their truth into a weapon. Every tear becomes a tool. Every vulnerability becomes leverage. And they've learned. Quietly, slowly, painfully. They've learned to retreat, to restrain, to replace reality with release. They've learned that fantasy is safer than fallout, that a screen is gentler than your scorn. But here's the tragedy. Men still want to love you. They still want to protect you. They still want to rise for something real. But you've left no space for that, because you don't want a protector. You want an audience. You want applause. You want a pedestal for your ego, not a partner for your soul. So now, men are disappearing, not in body, but in spirit. They sit beside you, but they are not with you. They look at you, but they do not see. They touch, but they do not trust. And the saddest part? You don't even notice, because you're too busy capturing the angle, posting the illusion, feeding the algorithm. And while you chase dopamine, he walks away, first emotionally, then spiritually, and finally entirely. And you will ask again, with tears and rage and disbelief, where did all the good men go? But the truth is, they were here. They stood in front of you. They tried. They broke. They bent their backs to be what you claimed you wanted, until they realized you never wanted a man. You wanted a mirror. You wanted reflection, not revelation. You wanted worship, not witness. And so we end up here. In a culture where femininity is loud and masculinity is silent, where seduction is weaponized and sincerity is extinct, where love dies under the weight of exposure. But there is a way back, not an easy one. a brutal one. One that requires women to stop hiding behind their skin and start showing their substance. One that demands they step away from illusion and into essence. One that begins not with filters, but with truth. Because the moment you stop baiting a man's instincts, you give him a chance to feel yours. The moment you stop demanding attention, you might earn intimacy. And that takes more than body. It takes soul, it takes depth. And depth is the one thing you can't fake. So if this truth cracked something open in you, if it peeled back even one illusion you've been clinging to, then let it burn. Share it. Like it. Let it travel. Not to shame, but to cleanse. Because men don't just need sex. Men need truth. And women, you need it too. If we ever hope to rebuild anything worth keeping, we start right there, with truth.